All right, all right.
97.7 Outlaw Radio FM listeners, you already know what time it is. You could tell who it is, who we got here live. We have the legendary RMB group. We got 4 p.m. in the building. How are you guys
What's
doing
up?
this
All
evening?
right,
Doing
all
good.
right.
Blessed, man. Blessed. Good to be here,
Yeah,
man.
we're
Feeling
blessed.
good. Feeling good.
I gotta say, it's definitely good to have you guys here as well. As individuals already know, previously I interviewed Lil Mac not too long ago, but it is great to be able to have all you guys here and just chop it up with one of my personal favorite R&B groups of all time, man. You guys are legends, so thank you so
Thank
much
you,
in
brother.
advance for a little bit of your
Thank you.
time.
Thank you.
Thank
Appreciate it.
Thank you.
Thank you,
as
brother.
always.
And a big hello to all your listeners out there, man. It's good to
Yeah,
be with you
all
guys.
your fans that support you.
But I have to ask first and foremost, guys, how are you guys doing this evening and whatnot, man? It's middle of the week. Friday is almost upon us, so that work week is almost over.
Yeah, well, it's
Yeah.
fantastic to be here. It's especially good for me because I recently retired from my nine to five grind, so I'm chilling no matter what day of the week it is.
I gotta say, man, you're one of the hardest working individuals within R&B, man. So I could just imagine what you did at that 9 to 5, man. So you definitely deserve
Right.
that retirement.
Yeah,
Thank
we
you,
we
thank you.
we've been super busy working on the projects. Like I said, we got the first single slated to come out real soon, and we've been in the studio working on other music. So it's been for me it's been quite a grind too, just trying to prep for that, try to get ready for that release. And so it's been nonstop work lately.
Right. For me, like I said, I just got over COVID, so I'm hanging in there doing pretty good.
He's still alive. He's still with us.
I'm still alive. Man. I'm still kicking it. So
Hey, I
yeah,
gotta
it
say,
is
I'm
real.
glad you're feeling better, man. COVID didn't realize who it was messing with until it went after Lil Mac.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, it was trying to get me, man. It was trying to get me. It gave me the left hook, the right hook, and a nice jab, and I was like, "Oh, I'm down. You got me. You got me."
But I know you guys are very busy individuals, so I'm not going to take you way too long. But I want to take you back to the amazing year of 1991, where 4 p.m. started in the suburbs of Baltimore, Maryland. I was wondering if you can actually tell our viewers just a story behind the humbling beginnings of 4 p.m. And of course, how did you guys originally meet out there in Baltimore?
Good, right?
Wow.
All right. Well,
Wow.
unfortunately, the bald headed guy below me here on the screen, he must have been. I woke up, my first time from being brought home from the hospital, and I saw his face, and it scared the heck out of me. He's my older brother, but he's about 6 years my senior, just a little under 6 years my senior, Roberto. And Larry, we met probably 40 plus years ago. We were in high school, I believe, right, Larry?
Yeah, high school together.
Yeah, we were
We
high
grew up
school.
outside military. Our parents were like
Yeah,
military, so we all
both of
grew
our
up
parents were in the
military.
military. We lived right near a proving ground, one of the military bases out there in Aberdeen, Maryland, and we hooked up, man. We just we clicked, man, and we used to dance together with a dance troupe, and started out there, and then all of a sudden the singing kind of started happening, and lo and behold, 4 p.m. appeared. Right.
I know the fellas longer than my wife. That's crazy. So I've been married to you guys longer than I have to my wife. That's a beautiful
That's
thing.
right. That's right, brother. Yeah,
Yeah,
wait till we hit you for that alimony.
they're coming for that house, Larry. They're coming
That's
for
right.
that
We're
house.
coming for it.
Oh man, they always get you when you're down.
But also as well,
Yeah.
because obviously when you guys said like a few moments ago how you guys started out as dancers, and of course the singing came along. When did you guys actually know you guys had the talent to sing? Because obviously you guys have such a phenomenal harmony, man. When you put in a 4 p.m. record, it's 4 p.m.
Yeah, thank you, thank
Wow.
you. Well, like Ray mentioned, we're brothers, so we grew up in a household back in the Bronx, New York. And when we were younger, we used to imitate, our favorite artists, the Jacksons, the Osmonds, the Temptations, the OJs, and we would just sing
The
along.
statistics.
Yeah, the Bee
Yeah.
Gees. And eventually that evolved to us changing the lyrics to some of those songs and kind of customize them. That got us our first taste of songwriting. And, one thing led to another. Once we got a catalog of songs, all right, now we got to get together and practice. So we made rehearsal a discipline.
3-4 hours a day, 4 or 5 days a week. We stayed on it in the stairwell, in the restrooms, outside in the parks, literally on the street corner. Yeah. And we, perfected our craft.
And also as well, before you guys were known as 4 p.m., I also read that you guys actually went by the name For Real. I was wondering what actually made you guys ultimately decide to undergo that name change to what we, the world, now know as 4 p.m.
Wow. Yeah, that
Larry,
that
you want to
one
get
we
there?
yeah, well, there was a group, there was a female group that we didn't even know about in LA and in California, and they were with the same name with For Real. When we found that out, they contacted us and said, "Hey, we have that name. Can you guys not use that name?" And we were like, "Oh man, we even had a theme song for the name, and like a Motown Philly." And we were like, "Man, we can't give up that name." But then we got to thinking about it and said, "You know what? It's just a name, and let's just figure out what else we could change it to." So we came up with the 4 p.m., which stands for Positive Music.
And also as well, man, when you actually mentioned a few moments ago how this female group hit you guys up, it just shows the type of moves and the type of waves you guys are making even early on before you guys were actually known as 4 p.m. man. Because if the group is telling you, you can't be using our name, you guys you're doing something right.
Right.
Well, we actually had registered our name at the time.
Yeah.
So it wasn't like they were calling us for us to cease and desist. They basically asked us for our permission.
Yeah.
So we actually let go of the name.
Yeah, we let go.
At the time, it was kind of like the gentleman thing to do. You know what I mean? They were already in the process. They already had their album recorded. We were just getting started. So we said, "All right, you guys got it. We'll figure something else out."
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, which was cool. Out of respect, it was a respect thing for us. So
yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And obviously, as you already meant, for Positive Music, that's the whole origin story of 4 p.m. What obviously back in the day, a lot of individuals were not didn't have that same mindset as you guys had. So if you don't mind me asking, what actually made you guys decide to sit down and actually write only positive music with, of course, no swearing, no disrespecting women? Like, what actually made you guys really decide to go that route and actually just keep everything 110% positive with your lyrics?
I think it was the fact that we were sons to women. We fathers to daughters at the time, because a couple of us had little girls. We had grandmothers that were still living. I mean, there were special women in our lives that we felt it would be a disgrace to do that kind of music that would degrade them, when these are the very women that have raised us. And you know what I'm saying? It just didn't really feel right in our gut. You know what I'm saying? So when we decided that we were going to pursue this industry, one of the first things we discussed is that, look, if we're going to publish any material, we got to make sure that material is clean, because and then fast forward, here we are 28 years later, that music is being listened by our kids, our grandkids, right? So thank goodness it's good, positive music, and it doesn't promote a negative sort of connotation, negative influence on their lives. Had we made a decision back then, they'd be listening to these songs with curses and all that, and as grandpas, and dads, we'd be looking at them like, well, trying to explain that would not be easy. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
Yeah.
And especially as well, because like a lot of young individuals back then, because of course you guys are really young back then when you guys first started 4 p.m. You guys had that mindset. A lot of individuals when they were younger, they make music that they might not be proud of today, and they don't realize that it really does kind of still stick with their legacy when individuals listen to years from now. So it's really cool that you guys had that mentality at the very beginning to know, okay, like my children or my grandchildren in the future might listen to this music. So it's really cool you guys had that mindset.
It's funny you mentioned that, because I've seen interviews with, celebrities, whether they're actors or singers that have been in the game a long time, and actually making statements, in interviews, saying that they've regretted, some of the earlier work and material that they've done because of the lyrical content or the suggestive material that was in it. And so, I mean, look, they're human beings. Everybody makes mistakes. We're not judging them, but we feel proud that we're not in a position to have to make those kind of claims that, hey, you know, we were young and dumb and did all this stuff back in the day. So it's nice to know that, you know, we can move forward and feel good and proud about the stuff we did back then and the stuff we're doing currently.
And the stuff we're doing now. Right.
And also on March 28th of 1995, you guys actually released your 14-track debut album. I was wondering, for the listeners that might not actually have the opportunity to listen to this legendary classic project, can you tell our listeners a story behind it? And of course, what was it like just putting together this amazing debut record?
Wow.
It happened real fast. So you know, the story really was, I mean, we had a pretty good collage of songs that we had written prior to getting our deal even. And so when Sukiyaki came to the table, we recorded it. They wanted to put it out quickly as a single and see what came back from that single. And as soon as they saw the song gaining traction and saw the trajectory, it was like, okay, guys, boom, let's get in the studio. We got to get an album done quick. So I think we completed our album in 21 days.
21 days.
And it was a lot of pressure to have to go in and complete, 14 songs rather in 21 days. So you know, we did the best job we could. We hope that it showed in the music. And I think that in terms of the writing, we probably got a few songs in, but there was a lot of other outside writers that got involved with the project too.
Yeah.
We wanted more songs on the album because we had a lot of good stuff back then that we wrote.
Yeah.
But, you know, record company, that's just the business of the record company. They're like, nope, you guys can have it. That's it.
Right. And it's like you said too, DJ Immortal, you know, the record companies in that day, they were starting to push the edgy, you know what I'm saying, kind of stuff. And there were a few times in meetings where, you know, we were told straight out, you know, 4 p.m., you guys got to be a little bit more edgy, you know, throw some curse words in your music, do this, do that, do the other.
Right.
We kind of stood our ground, you know, and it was a tough situation, you know, being as young as we were, and you got these powerhouse executives telling us you got to do this, you know, but we pretty much kind of said, nah, we're not going to do it. You know what I'm saying?
And I got to say as well, what was the outcome of that as well? Like, were they really upset, or they kind of decide with you when you actually stood your ground?
You know, they didn't make a big deal about it at the time, but I think ultimately it did lead to some friction in the relationship. We felt that after the first album, we released another album with them called Light in the Dark, that album didn't get the same level of push that the first one did. I just feel like everybody kind of like took a step back in terms of promoting that project. And it was a good album, but I think that we weren't getting the level of support that we needed. So we got lucky shortly thereafter. There was a good entertainment lawyer that just happened to fall on our laps that said, hey, you know, I'd like to, you know, I heard you guys were locked into these contracts, and he actually helped us get out of the contracts, you know?
Right.
And so, you know, since then we've been free of those contracts. So, you know, there's a lot of people that get stuck in those deals for many, many years. So we were fortunate to be able to be released from those contracts when we did. I think it was like late 90s or early 2000. It was late 90s because we ended up
late 90s. Yeah.
We ended up doing our self-titled album in 2000. So that must have happened somewhere around 98, 99 that we got released from the label.
Correct.
Yeah. And I gotta say as well, it's weird how some of these labels, you know, do that if they're a little upset. They don't fully push the project, but what they don't really realize though back then, they were putting their own money into this project as well. So they're using their resources and kind of just throwing money down the drain without properly promoting. Because like you said, Ray, that album was absolutely stellar, man. That second record, if it would have got that push, I think it definitely would have went multi-platinum easily.
Oh,
thank you very much.
We think so too, but you know. That's the way the ball bounces sometimes. You know, it's kind of it ended up being a blessing in disguise, really. You know, we were young, we were enthusiastic about getting our careers, but looking back at it, I mean, we experienced the travel, we shared stages with other great performers, we traveled the country, we traveled outside of the country. To, I mean, all around the world. We probably been to like, 20 different countries. We spent a lot of time. We probably went to Japan maybe 30 times and hit all the major cities in Japan doing concerts, summer festivals, Christmas dinner shows, and the people that we met, the experiences that we had, the the foods that we were able to have. I mean, we didn't get rich beyond our wildest dreams, but we had the richness of fans
meeting,
and
yeah, friends
experiences
and everyone.
and the bond that we created amongst ourselves. I mean, look at, of course, Ray and I are brothers, so that bond will never break. But
Right.
Larry's been with us since day one. Larry's
That's
our
right.
brother.
Right.
You know what I mean? So here we are. We keep going. We wouldn't change anything for the world.
And speaking of Japan and whatnot, in 2001, you guys actually released the amazing 4-studio album titled "Sweet Soul" on the Japanese Pony Canyon label. I was wondering, what is the story behind that record deal, and of course, what was it like just traveling to Japan to working with that label? Because of course, things must have been so much different in Japan, music-wise and just culture-wise, versus the United States, what you guys are actually used to.
So we ended up. I think one of those years we went out there with Marty. Was it at the tail end after we recorded
Yeah, I
Sweet
think
Soul?
so.
That was after Sweet Soul. Yeah,
It was after Sweet Soul that we reconnected and did a reunion tour with Marty. But when we got out there, what Pony Canyon wanted to do with us is to have us go back and pick and choose some of our influencers in music. Some of the favorite artists that we grew up listening to. So we ended up doing a Michael Jackson song. We did a Kool and the Gang song, a Bee Gees song. We did an Eric Clapton song on there. We picked and choose, the songs that we grew up on, basically singing. And so it was a good experience to be able to go back and sing these songs that we were listening to when we were kids. I mean, that was an amazing and a very surreal experience as well. And in fact, a lot of those songs were main titles that we would perform in Japan, every time we would go out there, so although we didn't get a chance to perform a lot of them here in the US in that market, they were a big part of our set list.
Right.
Yeah, it was amazing.
Oh yeah.
It really was.
The amazing thing about the Japanese culture is that when we went out there for the first time, it was actually like getting in a time machine and going backwards, because in their culture, once they like something and appreciate something, they hold on to it. It's not like the, short attention span that we have here in the US.
Mm-hmm.
We went there and it seemed like we went back into the past. There was hip hop music playing in the streets. There were Japanese kids dressed up in Adidas joggers with shell top Adidas and Kangos. They were really involved in all our older culture stuff that, here in the US, it had already, faded out, but they still kept it strong. Hip hop, American R&B. We would go into venues and the drummer, the keyboardist, the guitar player, the vocalist, all Japanese, but singing soul music like you would not believe. Yeah. I mean, it was amazing an amazing experience. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
They are amazing people. That's just
absolutely.
There are some amazing people over there.
And when you said that these individuals are singing soul music like perfectly, were they singing it in their own language, like Japanese, or were they singing it in pure English?
In English.
In English. They were doing it in
English. Yeah.
Yeah. And it was surprisingly they had pretty good tonation. I mean, they they did a good job at rehearsing them songs. That they sounded really, really good doing them.
There were a lot of vocal groups over there that we met that were very, very talented. There were more members. There were maybe like 6 or 7 members in the group, but they would be beatboxing. The same thing that like Pentatonics and all the guys are doing now. They were doing that back in the 90s, and it was big then.
Yeah.
And if I'm not mistaken, your guys' following is still huge out there in Japan as well.
It sure is. It sure is.
I think they're just wondering, what are they doing right now? What's going on? Well, they're going to get a big surprise.
We're actually looking forward to getting back out there. We're gearing up. We're going to start some rehearsals with a live band here shortly, and start getting our set list together for this new run. We're gonna, we got to do Sukiyaki in the show. We're gonna do Late on Your Love in there, a couple of the old favorites, but we're definitely gonna try to infuse a few of the new tracks that we're coming out. We want to be able to introduce those songs, to include the new single that we're putting out some of the time.
And also as well, in the year 2001, you guys were actually featured on Yoki. I do want to say if I do pronounce this wrong,
That's right.
my apologies. Sorry about Yuki Kobayashi's album, Big Star, Superstar on the song "I'll Be There." I was wondering, how did you guys and Kobayashi first get connected? And of course, what was it like just collaborating in the studio with that Taiwanian artist?
Wow. Yeah, that was something.
Right?
Yeah.
No, I mean, it was, you know, they wanted us to collab with her. In fact, I think that there was a TV show built around it. We spent some time. It's funny. It's before reality TV was big here in the U.S. They actually had us meet up in a house in New York.
Yeah.
With this young artist, and we spent some time with her, and we were in the studio, and we were kind of teaching her how to sing the song, and she was, you know, sharing with us some of the culture and all that. So it was almost like a reality TV show, and it shocked us a little bit because that wasn't a thing here back in those days. You know what I'm saying? But Japanese were doing a lot of that reality type TV.
Whoa.
You know,
Remember
so
they had me doing acting. I was the bad guy in this thing. I was
so so it started out with the show, and then the show led into the recording of the single, and then obviously they decided, you know what, this is a great idea. Let's record a single, and we put that out. You know, same thing happened with Sweet Soul. Sweet Soul, kind of the way that came together was like, hey man, let's get in the studio, and then we would go in and record a few songs. The next day we came back. I think we recorded that in less than 2 weeks, if I'm not mistaken. That whole album.
Yeah, that was pretty.
We like blasted right through it. You
know. The Japanese musicians, they are really disciplined, very talented. There were several times, I mean, over the course of that 10-year run and those 30 or so visits to Japan, there were times that we would send our music ahead of time. The band would rehearse for maybe 3 days. We would land in Japan, have a 2 or 3 day rehearsal, and then we start, you know, doing 2 shows a night, you know, for 2 weeks straight, you know, and they would rock it. You couldn't tell that it was a brand new connection. You would think that this was our band and we'd been traveling them for months, if not years. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And when you guys mentioned a few moments ago about how that recording session was actually filmed into a reality TV show, is that video actually since been uploaded to the internet to actually be watched by 4 p.m. fans today, or is that just something that unfortunately got lost in the archives?
It's lost in the archives.
Yeah.
But I think we have. I think I might have something hidden somewhere.
Yeah, you think so?
Yeah, I think
the only memory that I have is while we were living in the house, you know, briefly with the young artist, Larry cooking some really salty chicken.
Oh man, you had to bring that up, didn't you? That salty chicken. Oh man.
He tried to kill everybody.
How salty are we talking? Are we talking completely over salted so you couldn't eat it, or was it just tolerable?
Oh man,
it was like he battered the chicken in salt instead of flour. That's how salty we're talking.
It was like the ocean salt, man. It was like go over to the ocean and got a mouthful of salt. We're like, what happened?
I can definitely just hear this story ending with someone calling KFC delivery. Just being like, all right, someone ordered KFC.
I think something like that actually did happen, if I'm not mistaken. Something like that did happen.
I think we did end up getting food, delivered to us. They're like, yo, we're not going to eat his food.
Hey, at the end of the day, you know, there's salted chicken, but then there's just, oh my goodness. No offense, Larry. I'm sorry, man.
I've gotten much better over time.
He has improved. He has improved.
Well, as you can see, we all survived, including Larry. You know, nobody killed him for trying to kill us.
But also, as well, as you guys were speaking out throughout this interview, that you guys are cooking up a brand new project, as you are also letting individuals know. I do have one of the songs that's going to be placed into the radio station's rotation, so you guys get a little sprinkle of what 4 p.m. is cooking up. But for what you're allowed to speak about, well, what can our listeners expect from this new record, man? And of course, what is the anticipated release date?
Well, the anticipated release date for the single "Some of the Time" is December 16th of this year. Actually, November 19th, which is in a couple of weeks, we'll be shooting the video for it. So we're coming out all guns blazing. We're gonna, let people know we've been away for a while, but it doesn't mean that we still didn't, have the passion, the love for music. Over the years, we've consistently have continued to write. So we probably have like 5 albums worth of material just waiting to go. We've completed the first 4 songs for this album. The next set of 4 songs are actually being worked on, and we're going to start cutting vocals once the holidays are over. And hopefully by the spring, the whole entire project will be ready. And 2023 is going to be all about For Positive music and bringing positivity back to our listeners.
Yes, sir.
Yes.
Yep.
Oh, yes.
And I got to say as well, it definitely sounds like a phenomenal release. I do hope that you guys actually release some hard copies of it as well, because I would honestly love to snag myself a CD and actually and show some support.
We can work that out. We can work
Absolutely,
that out.
We're definitely going to work that out. We'll work that
Absolutely.
out. We'll make sure that you get a hard copy.
Hey, most definitely. I believe I told Larry this previously, but I'm an old school kind of guy. I still love my CDs. Like, I'm not really huge on the Spotify. I don't really like how artists like yourselves don't really get paid properly, because pennies aren't going to pay the bills, but dollars will pay the bills, man. So I always like buying the hard copies. That way I know you guys are getting paid.
Well, we appreciate that. It's certainly a whole different business than it was when we were, doing this back in the day. And it's something that we had to really kind of get used to. Like, how are we gonna, approach this sort of new digital era and profit from it? You know what I'm saying? So the first decision that we made was that if we're gonna do this time around, we got to be careful with our splits and our deals. So we decided the best route for us would be to do it independently, which is what we've done. And we acquired a distributor, and so this music is coming out on the official 4 p.m. record label, and it's just to be able to have total creative license is a big deal for us, because we didn't have that back in the day, and there were a lot of decisions that were made that we were not super happy with, but we didn't have the control nor the power to say, no, we don't want to do that, or we'd rather do this. And so now we're in a position where we can release what we want, when we want it. If we want to do remixes, we own all the masters on this new project, so there's a lot of big differences for this version of 4 p.m. than there was back then.
Right. Yeah. Yes. We love it. We love this version.
Yep.
And also as well, because obviously we just spoke about the brand new album that's currently in the works, and of course I know you mentioned about how you guys got some set lists you're currently cooking up to get back on the road and doing shows. But aside from that, what is next for yourselves, not only as 4 p.m., but also us individual artists as well? Like, is there anything we happen to miss during tonight's broadcast? Anything else you guys still want to talk about or promote? We still got you here live on YouTube and, of course, worldwide on the FM dial.
Well, we're definitely looking forward to some collaborations. I mean, we've always wanted to collab with some of the greats. I'll just throw a couple in, but like a Babyface, maybe a John Legend. Maybe an Alicia Keys, maybe a Charlie Puth, somebody who could sit on the piano while we're singing the song.
Even Charlie Wilson, we'd like to do something with him.
Oh yeah, maybe even just share the stage with Uncle Charlie. So while we're out there, we're gonna definitely be mingling and rubbing shoulders with some of these guys and trying to see if we can create a situation to be able to share stages with some of these great artists.
Yeah, we did perform on some very nice stages in Japan, Malaysia, Hong Kong, Australia, Canada, everywhere else. Here in the States, the venues that we did were more laid back, more intimate stages.
Right.
One of the goals that I have set for the group, and I'm sure they share that sentiment, is that even if we don't win the award, we'd like to at least be able to perform on a Grammy stage, on a Billboard Awards stage, American Music Awards, one of those where the audience is an audience of our peers, fellow musicians, fellow singers, fellow songwriters, and be in that moment. That would be like the icing on the cake for me right about now.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, definitely. I agree with you 100%.
And Larry, I do know as well that you currently have your own solo career you do as what you do and whatnot, where you go under the name Lil Mac. Well, we're actually just on the topic of what's next and whatnot. Where can our listeners actually check out your solo stuff as well? Because I do know you got a phenomenal catalog.
Yeah, a lot of the stuff is on all the digital platforms. Like most of my stuff is on all the digital platforms, so they can go anywhere really. If they just punch in my name, whether it's iTunes or Amazon Music, they can still get my solo stuff too. So that's there. But you know, like we're saying, I don't mind doing the solo stuff. It just kept me busy when we weren't busy with the group. So, but now my concentration is more with the group because that's my love. You know what I mean? I like being around my partners, and you know that's just
we like you too, Larry.
Yeah, we'll keep you around for a little bit.
It seems like it's more fun with the group. You know what I mean? Not saying that I don't mind doing stuff on my own, but it's a lot of fun to have the whole group companion type thing going on. So yeah, but they can find my stuff all over the internet. So they just have to punch in, you know, Lil Mac, and they can find all my stuff.
And when you said as well a few moments ago about how you work better with a group and whatnot, man, and I don't blame you about that as well either, man, because of course you started out in a group, you worked years with 4 p.m. and then you kind of went solo. It's definitely a totally different vibe doing everything yourself and working by yourself versus having individuals just to harmonize with.
Yeah, right. Yeah, and that was the biggest thing that I missed. You know, when you're doing stuff solo, you do the harmony, but it's all my harmony. So there's a difference from the group harmony than it is from my harmony. So it's just, you know, you miss those voices, those tones, those, you know, reflections are just I like them much better as a group than I do even for myself. But it's been fun. It's been a fun ride, you know, for the solo stuff. But I love the group stuff. You're 100% correct.
And also, this is the time to interview quickly, guys, that I give a chance for the individuals that do slide into the radio station airwaves, just like a chance to give like shout-outs to whomever they want to give shout-outs to. But most of all, your guys' social media handles as a group and, of course, individually as well. That way our listeners can follow 4 p.m. and all you guys and stay updated on what you guys currently got cooking in the pot.
Okay, well, that's fairly simple. Right now, we're developing our YouTube channel. We're getting a facelift on that. And since the internet is now the new wave of doing promotions, where back in the day, we used to actually travel and go to radio stations and record stores and stuff like that. But nowadays, it's all about TikTok, Instagram, you know, Twitter and all that stuff. You can catch us on all those platforms at the official 4 p.m. That's TheOfficial number 4 p.m.
Yep. On all the platforms.
And I got to say as well, guys, it was such an honor to be able to talk with you again, Larry, and of course, you know, just everybody from 4 p.m. Man, it was such an honor to interview all three of you legendary individuals. As a fan, I'm excited to hear that there's actually another album coming out. So I'm definitely excited for when that does drop. And I know you guys are going to be releasing nothing but heat. So thank you again for your time. And of course, just years of monumental music.
Thank you.
Thank you, DJ Moda. Thanks for having us, man.
Hey, man, you guys are most certainly welcome. Definitely have yourself a phenomenal night. And of course, the rest of the week as well.
And to all your listeners, peace and love.
Yeah, much love.
Much love to you guys out there. We'll see you.